Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Since all of our time zones around the world and around our country, here we are again, folks, hoping that we will make the difference and we try to pay attention to what's happening in the world and how much people care and what people think. Um, I have advocated for years. There are so many ways that we can contribute to our beautiful communities, locally, nationally, and worldwide. And we should never underestimate our voice or our opinion or our beliefs. My dad used to say years ago, doers are winners and believers are winners, and believers but not doers are failures. So I tried to practice that all of my life, adult life. There were the times when I made difference and there were the times when I didn't. But at least you try. What I really want to ask you, my loyal followers and whoever will watch this tape later on, whoever will join us even during the program, Don Lemon on CNN has a special guest, Jane Fonda. And as I'm sure you have heard of, legendary lady, an activist, fabulous actress in Hollywood, and was her fame just a luck or her hard work or ingenuity or natural way that she expressed herself in every way that benefits the society even today? I may even say a good teaching lesson that you should never give up. There are plenty examples around the world, from Nelson Mandela to Martin Luther King to Malcolm X to Jane Fonda. These are the people who believe in themselves, and these are the people who sacrifice. Like Muhammad Ali during the Vietnam time, who refused to serve, not because he hates his country, United States of America, but he did not think it was the right thing to do to bear arm, put the United States of America uniform, and go in Vietnam, 12,000 miles away, to kill innocent people. This was a political war. It happened, that was the time when I came in the United States and I wanted to join. I was excited to join 9 months later. I went in New Jersey at the office and I tried to sign up. Although when they find out that I was wounded, as you can see in my arm here, I was wounded in the military in Yugoslavia a year earlier. I just got out of the hospital on that time in December. 7 days later, I left the country. I was so disenchanted with the system of socialism and communism and Tito's party. I learned so much. I learned so much at that time in the military and also in the hospital, and I realized that wasn't place for me. So the people that I met in Belgrade from the U.S. embassy, they helped me out to emigrate. And here I am, 50 years, 55 years later. Jane Fonda went to Vietnam, and we remember that slogan that she had on the top of Vietnam with his tank, and everybody called her a traitor. But she know better. She loved our men and women in uniform, and she loved her country, and she loved her brothers and sisters, citizens who were sacrificing their life for an ideological war that was no less criminal than a guy who goes down on the street going crazy or to McDonald's or God forbid to the school and start shooting innocent children just like they do in these days. It was criminal war then, and it's criminal war now, and I'm glad they didn't let me go. Yes, later on, I did involve myself with the U.S., with our government, not U.S., I apologize, with our government, in the wars that we had in the Middle East and also on the Balkans. So it took me a while to realize perhaps sometimes you even have to sacrifice your beliefs. Although I choose this time not to bear arm, pick up arm, a rifle, or the M16 to go to Europe or Iraq or Afghanistan or Somalia or Congo or Chad or any one of those countries through Africa that we were involved in the war. I choose to use my head, to use my brain, to use my intellect and see if I could make a difference. And that was proven to me that I did the right thing and I chose the right path. During the Yugoslavian war, I did just by having a pen and a paper on my hand and making a suggestion, planning, projecting, executing with my fellow, my group that I was involved with, and we made a big time difference in the war in Yugoslavia against the butcher of Balkan, which I'm sorry I have to say his name, but that was the Slobo Milošević and Bulatović. The government of Yugoslavia then. That said, Miss Jane Fonda, the longtime activist, a lifetime activist, have said few things that there is no need for me to repeat, and I can't say it the way she said, but a respected anchorman, John Lemon, is asking her a few questions, and I would like for you to give your time and a moment of your time and listen what the lady has to say. Here we go. Bear with me.
You see, that's exactly what she's been doing, all to address the climate crisis. Joining now is actress and activist Jane Fonda. Do you like that activist as well?
Yeah, I do, but I don't want to get arrested.
But you will.
But I'm willing to risk getting arrested by engaging in civil disobedience. You want to know why?
So please,
because climate activists.
I'll be back when the lady finishes, and I hope you will enjoy it. Please pay attention to her. She's extraordinary woman.
And I'm trying to take a lesson from the student climate strikers.
But I heard you say people have been rallying for climate change for 4 decades, 40 years now, and nothing is done. You said the time now for, you think it is time now for civil disobedience.
Correct. Yes. That means you risk being arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found it interesting, Jane, that you said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you recognize your white privilege and your fame when getting arrested. Explain what that means.
Well, I'm famous and I'm white, and I'm in jail, and they're not going to treat me the way they would treat me if I was an unknown black woman, and I'm very aware of that. And you know, when I spent the night in jail in Cleveland, all the other prisoners were white, and this time they were all black. And you know, that's 50 years. That's Jim Crow. That's mass incarceration. That was the saddest part of being in jail, was seeing the extent to which this country doesn't prioritize social safety nets and mental health services, because a lot of those people shouldn't have been in. They should have been treated elsewhere.
You know, protests have been part of your life for decades. What makes this climate crisis, you think, so, you spoke about it just moments ago, so different and so urgent at this moment for you?
Well, if we had paid attention to the science 30, 40 years ago, because they knew, the scientists, Exxon, we now know because of leaked memos that they knew what they were doing. They knew it was causing damage to the environment. But because they lied and they hid the science and hoodwinked us, we didn't take action soon enough. And so now we only have a limited amount of time. The science says 11 years left before we reach a point beyond that we can't control.
Let me talk to you about that science, because this week more than 11,000 researchers from around the world, they've issued a report warning of untold suffering caused by climate change if we don't change our ways on a massive scale.
Yeah.
The science is undeniable. So what needs to happen to save the planet?
Well, the scientists themselves, and this is really surprising because they're usually pretty neutral, they say the only way we're going to have it happen the way it needs to happen is for massive numbers of people to be mobilized in the streets. And I'm trying to show on my Fire Drill Fridays, this is the new normal. We have to be out there. We have to be risking arrest. We have to engage in civil disobedience because we have very little time. And what has to happen is so huge. I mean, we did it kind of during the New Deal. Roosevelt was forced to put into play programs that lifted people out of poverty and despair. He left out African Americans. This time, with a Green New Deal, everyone will be lifted, and we have to fight for that, which means we can't elect anybody to office that isn't really brave.
I have so many questions for you.
Well,
I've
waited my life.
But you said African Americans, and you recognize that. Many people don't recognize that. And as an African American, I mean, that's heartening to me that you can recognize that and that you're bold enough and brave enough to be able to say that, because not many people do that, Jane.
Well, I've been studying.
And you've lived it.
I've been studying it because, and when I first heard about a Green New Deal, I thought, oh, God, why can't they just stick to the climate? Why do they have to talk about justice and jobs? But the more I learn, the more I realize we're not going to solve the problem unless it's holistic. It has to be a win-win for everybody, because the mentality that is so raped and damaged the globe is the same mentality that brought African slaves here hundreds of years ago and created genocide, committed genocide against the indigenous people. It's a mindset that the earth is ours to exploit endlessly, and workers are there to use and then discard, poof.
Can we talk some politics now? Because I know you are very involved in politics. Can we talk about the impeachment and what's going on and the testimony that we've heard over the last couple of weeks? Where do you stand on impeachment now, Jane?
We're never going to solve the climate crisis if he is an oil president. His cabinet is an oil cabinet. He is bought off by fossil fuels. And a lot of people in the Senate, a lot of Republican candidates are too. So we can't solve the problem when we have elected officials who are paid by the fossil fuel industry. And so the sooner that we move beyond him, the better, whether it's through the elections or through impeachment or whatever.
Half the country wants him impeached and removed from office. Is that surprising to you?
No, it's not surprising to me.
You've seen division before. Our country's really divided now. And I would imagine there was a big division during
the Vietnam War.
During the Vietnam War.
But there's a big difference.
Have you seen? So tell me.
Well, there's a ticking time bomb kind of looming over everything that we didn't have, or we didn't realize that we had it during the Vietnam War, which is the climate crisis. Humankind has never been in a situation like this, where we face the kind of dangers that could kill hundreds of millions of people, that could force mass migrations, that could create health pandemics, that would, I mean, just look at the fires and the floods and the sea risings and all the things that are happening right now. And imagine they're happening one right after the other, and we don't have time to catch up. What happens to the economy? What happens to our national security, right? So it's never been that way before, ever.
Is it more important in this election, this upcoming election in 2020, for a candidate to have share your ideology, or someone who could just beat this president?
Well, it's not enough. I think that the person, whoever the person is, no matter how brave they are, may not be able to get the job done unless we, the people of this country, make them do it.
Do you think someone like a Joe Biden is too moderate?
I don't want to talk about individuals.
Okay, but
I'll tell you one thing: whatever Democrat wins the primary, I will go all out. Not that anyone's asking me, but I'll do whatever I can.
Well, I'll ask you. I mean, I'm not going to.
For you.
I'll ask you this specifically because this is out there. This climate change is your fight. You've always stood up for what you believe in. I admire that. So few people do that. Where did that come from, Jane?
You know, I was hedonistic and ignorant for so long, and I realized once you see something, once I really understood what the Vietnam War was about, if I had then turned away, then I would be part of the problem. I would be guilty. Once you know something, then you have to use whatever power you have. And as a celebrity with a hit series behind you, you got you can do stuff more than I used to be able to do. I'm almost 82. I've got to do whatever I can. I'm not going to be alive when whatever is going to happen is going to happen. But I have nothing to lose, so I have to do everything I can to try to encourage other people to come along. Join us. Join us.
Thank you.
What would happen if you got arrested for civil disobedience? It's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony.
There are a lot of people who would like to see get in trouble or do something like that. I would not be afraid of that.
Yeah, I know you would.
But I don't know if that's my role now.
Right. No, you stay where you are, but you do a good job. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. I'm sitting here. It's surreal that I'm talking to you because I do admire you.
I think it's surreal I'm talking to you.
I know. And I love your brother as well. So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jane Fonda.
Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. Thank you again for sharing your time, and thank you for being patient. I'm back, and it's surreal to listen, Madame Fonda. It really is. It's surreal because history of her family and history of all the things that are happening around the world, and the things that she cares and the things that she believes, and she's not alone. Our election time is nearing, and watching her talk is it's sobering, and she touches the subjects that they are not just a time bomb, but she said a time bomb. It's a nuclear time bomb that is already in motion. And what I mean, the climate change will not affect only hundreds of millions of people. It will affect billions of people. And those billions of people will riot before they lose their life, and they will torch Earth like it never been torched before. I can close my eyes and imagine chaos, which already the chaos is from the Earth being overpopulated. Now I want you to forgive me for being straightforward, truthful, and honest, which not too many people have courage to say it, although Jane Fonda has said it in a way, although she said it in an intellectual way, that the language that most of the people do not understand. 80% of the civilization in the world will not understand what she has said to Dan Lema. She has said it exactly on this, and I will try to be very plain and speak that the very first household and a street language that ordinary folks will understand it. She said like this: if we don't stop growing the numbers of the people, if there is no birth control in the world, in a certain part of the world, let's say the part of the world they are most grown, the birth control is out of control. It's part of India continent, Asian continent, and South American continent. There is on the Middle East, a North Africa continent. If we don't start doing something, I will mention the countries by name now, since I have a boldness and courage to say this. I will go first from Egypt to Sudan, to Zaire, to Congo, to all Central Africa countries, from Indian Ocean to Atlantic. Then I will go on in the countries Brazil, Mexico, Central America, India, China is doing good job for many years, although now they have reversed, and that's a mistake. Although China is growing economically, and they think they're going to need the labor, and they have to reverse their rules of law, so you can have as many kids you want. That in the next 50 years will increase at least 1 billion people in China. So China will have a 3 billion, over 3.5 billion people. India will have another 3.5 billion, and that's 7 billion people. And between North Africa and Central Africa and the Pacific nations and Central and South America and Mexico, we will be so overpopulated. As the first thing, our rivers will be so polluted that there will be no clean water. And those rivers will pollute the ocean, and there will be no ocean will become toxic place. And if life in ocean dies, the earth will die. And then if you think as human, that will not affect you, well, that's my favorite words that I always use a couple of them, about 3 of them. I'm wasting my freaking time talking to you. We are on a road, as I said, every one of us, with that nuclear bomb on our shoulder. And we have no idea that we carry that nuclear bomb and a trigger, and we are about to trip on a smaller object, big as a grain of sand. And when we trip, we will fall on our face as a humanity, and we will never recover from it. And the saddest part is, from all of this tragic that's going to happen, that world, the planet, took billions of years. I mean, not 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. It took many billions of years to create us and our planet in shape that we are, so beautiful, so majestic. And here we are in the last 200 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. Since the time of combustion engine, perhaps that's the gravest tragedy that nature have given the man. Unlimited, objective space to think and create in such a short time of existence as a humans, in a galactic time, or if I may say that, I'm apologizing if I'm not expressing myself right, or a scientific time to measure the space and time and our existence. We have developed ourselves, our human mind and human body and human creativity. There is not even a blink of that galactic time, space of time, distant, not even blink of your eye. We are willing to destroy it, and we are on a path of destroying all of this that has been created for zillions of years. Now, if that is not sad, then guess what? If we continue to do what we are doing, is freaking nobody be left to read my books that I have written for many years, and so many, and hardly anybody is reading them. And it's not because they are my books. I believe so strongly, just like a lady Fonda, Jane Fonda, believed in her idea that she has a message. And I had a heart enough and the guts to let you listen, in case if you haven't heard it from CNN with the Don Lemon, that she had a sacred message for the humanity to do the right thing. And I thought in my books, in every of my books, no matter how poor the grammar and quotation, punctuation, or spelling is in it, but they have a message in that I strongly believe for better tomorrow, for forgiveness, for understanding, for love of life, love of humanity, love of Earth, Mother Earth. Now, that said, we all love fictions, but I don't. I haven't read single book in my life that is fiction, because I don't like magics, because the Greek Zeus, from Apollo and all the way down to the David Copperfield of the Caesar Palace in Las Vegas, anyone who does the magic and trying to make a fool out of me and on my mind, I don't let him do that. So I don't believe in Zeus's, I don't believe in Jesus, I don't believe in the prophets, in any prophets. I don't believe in anything that I cannot prove that is real. And I don't believe in anything that I cannot touch or feel or taste. So now you're going to say, what kind of human you are? Well, I'm a human in a body and shape that Mother Earth has give my mom and my dad an opportunity to make me as I am. So I have a right to believe what I believe, and you have a right to watch me or not to watch me, and it's all on you, tip of the finger. You can brush me off or listen all through my show what I have to say. Anybody can be Nostradamus. In his time, he was considered as the most wizard man on a planet. He predicted so many things, but none of them correctly. At least this time, we live on the best time that humanity have ever had since the existence of the first human man start walking on the two legs and start using a pelvis of the bone to kill another man, or a stick to kill another creature on the planet so he can use it as a food. Was it that cannibalism, one of his kind, or it was an animal that we distinguish from humans now? I don't know. But he learned how to kill and how to survive and how to think, how to walk, how to talk, and how to create, how to make. And here we are, thanks to their ingenuity. Here we are today. We can think back as far as a human ever walk, or Earth, how Earth was made and become to be. And all through that time, there was no Moses, no Jesus, no Muhammad, no Hindu, no Buddha, no Lama. It was all dust and a turbulence in a galaxy. And as we know, there are so many space programs now and scientific programs that you can watch and come to conclusion. I don't have to go any farther than that. So I stopped looking for God anywhere but inside my heart. The nature have granted me ability to think, create, and make difference between right and wrong for the time being that I'm on earth, and I'm trying to make a difference. I'm courageous enough after such a glorious people or such a giant people as Don Lemon and Jane Fonda, so I can chip in at least my small thought to encourage you to join, as she said, join us to save the planet Earth. Because there is no other one. This is it, folks. I mean, really, this is it. Here on my previous program, remember we talked yesterday about Khrushchev and 1962 problems in Cuba, crisis in Cuba. The book is called Cold War. And if this picture doesn't show the madman, then I don't know what is the madman. I'm not trying to publicize the writers, but my books are no less strong, although they don't have a Khrushchev picture, okay? Khrushchev picture. But they have so much real stories that they will take you for the ride and bring you up and drop you down, that you will bleed in your nose just by sitting in a chair. And when you finish reading one of my books, for example, on the Blood of Montenegro, if you think that you had a bad day, you will think twice. The Blood of Montenegro will sober you up. So buy it and read it. It will enlighten your life. And there are a few more other books that I have, that I read. And that's from the Civil War, United States, American Civil War, American tragedy. I will call it an American tragedy. And my good friend Jack Lipa is a writer. Then, from my roots, from my culture, from my small part of the world, Balkans, there was a country once called Bosnia and Herzegovina that is no more. It's torn up apart, and it still is torn apart. 3 million people have perished in 100 years. There is only 1.5 million people left. From 7 million, there are 1.5 million people left. In 1995, finally, the genocide has stopped killing, and exodus of my kind people, Bosniak people, that they are all Illyrian people, the oldest people in Europe, Balkans, Illyrian people in the coast of Dalmatia and inland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, and Croatia. Altogether, there was about 7 to 8 million people. These days, altogether, they count about 5 million people. Croatia about 2.5 million. Bosnia and Herzegovina about close to 2 million and some, and Montenegro about 600,000. Albania is also ancient Illyrian people. That's about altogether close to 6 million people. And I consider them as an endangered species. And myself, I have said that for many years. For 50 years, I've been saying, sometimes people ask me, oh, you're a white man. No, I'm endangered species because I'm the minority, really small number of people. So you need to take care of me and try to save my roots, my tree, my stump, so I can bear the fruit next year. Because if I'm not there, you're going to miss me. You're going to miss one more piece of puzzle in a humanity that humans have destroyed. We have committed genocide on each other for millenniums. Not one millennium, but for many millenniums. And evilness and destruction and that urge in a human heart and a human mind, it really is mind-boggling, at least for me. We have destroyed so many civilizations, so many cultures, and overpowered. And they don't even exist today. They are only in the books like this, of like Sleeping Stone from Mac Disdar. Stone Slipper, Mac Disdar in English language. You can find it, you can buy it, and it's sobering to read it. Unfortunately, not too many people know, but I can tell you, it will enlighten and will enrich your heart and mind. There is another man who has sacrificed a lot of things in his life, and that's Bo Griswold, one of the highest decorated men in the United States military ever, since the creation of this great nation. Bo Gris. Nation betrayed. What he really means, the nation and the government betrayed him. Nation didn't betray him. People then betrayed him. What happened, the Washington, D.C. politic betrayed him and his sacrifices. Because just like as Jane Fonda have said earlier in a video that you were watching, our politicians are sold souls. They have been sold to everybody and anybody, to cooperative America, to Wall Street, to oil and gas, and to overseas countries like Saudi Arabia and Israel. And we do not think anymore for ourselves. Neither we as a citizens have any control. The politicians are spineless, brainless, and heartless, and they are nothing but immoral liars. They go to us, they have learned one trick that they don't want you to know. The law that is in your constitution and amendments that supports your constitution, our constitution, gives them a bonanza, openness, that they can speak, they can promise, they can do things for companies locally, nationally, and worldwide, and for the countries, just like a quagmire that we have in right now in Ukraine. For the last 60 years, we have spent trillions of dollars, more than $10 trillion in the Middle East, with Israel, with Jordan, with Lebanon, with Saudi Arabia, with the Gulf countries, with Sudan, with Yemen, with Egypt, with Somalia, with Central Africa countries, so we can install the system. We can install the system that they do not understand or they want. You see, folks, it's easy to say, why don't you live like I do? And it's easy to say, well, the donkey from Himalaya, it looks similar as a donkey from Baja California and Mexico, or somewhere in Portugal or Spain or Mediterranean Ocean inside the Greece and Turkey. We call them the same, but they don't look the same. They don't act, they don't behave the same. The donkey in Himalaya, in St. John, top of Himalaya, it's lean and mean, and it fights to survive every single day for one straw of grass. Yet it doesn't look poor, yet doesn't look lifeless, yet it looks lean and mean and much alive, and can outrun a racing horse. But the donkey that looks so similar, if you don't have a good eye to judge, you will say like this, what's the difference between them two? Well, humans are exactly the same. If you don't look carefully to identify behavior of the human and the nature of the human, the way he does things makes him different. And also, he looks different. He talks different. He walks different. He acts different. He creates different. He has his opinion different than yours and mine. Everything else in life is like that. So have you ever thought, never mind, there is no problem that my neighbor doesn't think or look like me? Well, here, look your hand. Every single finger is different. Every single finger is different. So why is bothering you so much if I am white, black, chocolate color, yellow color, or red color? As a human. You and I, we must get along, and you and I must put our forces together, and you and I should not be fooled that this world of ours is in danger and we need to save it. By the way, I've been asked in my previous shows by those veterans, so-called veterans, remember, they want and join PKK and YPG. Those people they have been arrested and they will be prosecuted. Not because I complain and I call them cowards, because they were wrong. And our government in UK, no, not our government, the government in UK and European Union have condemned everyone from Europe who has gone to join PKK and YPG and so-called those liberation social communist armies. They are no better than Islamic State, than ISIL. As I said, those people have a blood on their hands of innocent Turkish people inside the Turkey for the last 40 years. Over 55,000 to 60,000 people. And this is not an exaggeration. And I have said, those murdered people are from every society inside the Turkey, intellectual, farmer, and a city, and a country, and a rural, you name it. And that's a big loss to lose 50,000 innocent people and a people that can contribute to the nation and society and the world in general. And it's a big loss that these people and PKK and YPG, they spend their lifetime for their revolutionary belief. They know they're not going to win. And Turkey is not about to lay down and surrender her nation to a group of terrorists or murderers to create their own state inside the Turkey state. That they have never been a state in a Turkey. Not since the beginning of time. And since the beginning of written history or recorded history, at least. And not by these people, Kurdish people. The people, they are originally from India, from Hindu River, area of Hindu River. They are comers. So how can this be? Okay, they succeeded in the northern part of Iraq at least to have now a provincial government. What I should suggest that we all support now that provincial government of Kurdistan in the northern Iraq. I'm not being here prejudiced. And we should support the Kurdish people in Syria that they have never had citizenship. They can have, if ever peace become in this godforsaken country. So that country can be together, which I don't believe it should be together. I think it should be torn up apart. I truly believe Hafiz Assad should have, with his cronies, with his murderers, a small part. Sunnis should have a part with the Shias together, and it should be separated in two countries, period. But Shias, Kurds should not have a separate country in Syria. Perhaps they should have a part off of the Euphrates River over there that they can connect with the Kurdistan in Iraq and have one country for themselves. But there is no way, and I think Iraq and Syria should be torn up apart because the things are not working right, and it will never work right. Part of Iraq and part of Syria should become state of Sunnis, and part of Iraq should become state of Shias, and they can join with Iran or whoever they want, or they can become miniature state by themselves. It would make no difference to me. And Hafiz Assad, I don't even want to, Alawites, I didn't want to mention the name, but I have to. His Alawites, they should have a small part over there, and his Russian brothers already have a base over there to protect them, and let them protect them. Israel have taken Golden Heights, and that should be end of the story, and Israel has a right to protect themselves. What we should focus then, it's on a peace between Israeli and Palestinians, and we should focus to buy piece of the Sinai, or maybe all of the Sinai Peninsula, right from the Suez Canal all the way to the border of Israel, and make that a Palestinian state. Let Israel and the United Nations and a world country build brand new state for Palestinian people and move them from Gaza and move them from the West Bank down to the Sinai Peninsula and let them live in peace forever last. Now, I know you all think like this. This is not possible. Everything is possible when a man decides to do it and a man believes. Everything is possible. If China can build the cities, Xinjiang, of 7 million people, or can build the cities that you can move 5-6 million people in one time, why the rest of the world cannot build brand new state in a Sinai Peninsula that is no one lives, there is not even 10,000 people living now as we are speaking. We can buy that from Egypt and develop that, and develop the desalinating plants to desalinate the water from the Mediterranean Ocean, and turn that in a paradise as Israel have become a green paradise in the last 48 years. We should not hesitate to be creative and to do the right thing and adjusting. Perhaps maybe this is too revolutionary for many of you, but it's not. The Germany was destroyed down to the ground during the World War II, and the Europe was destroyed by the World War I and World War II. And if Stalingrad can be rebuilt, and Europe can be rebuilt, and Russia and Poland can be rebuilt, and perhaps even Syria today can be rebuilt, and Somalia is on a verge of rebuilding, which was totally destroyed during the Civil War. Why is it impossible to build a brand new country of Palestine in a Sinai Peninsula? and get those people out of concentration camps. And Israel should pay for 50% of that too. And it's capable to do it. They have technology, they have ingenuity, they have engineering, they have science, they have everything. They should build straight down from the outhouse to sewer to the roads and railroads to the water plants to the children first grade schools and kindergartens to the high schools and the universities. And then they would prove that they are a chosen people. Perhaps, okay? Perhaps. In this note, I will leave you and I will wish you well. And I love this country and you should do too, if you are an American citizen or not. See you perhaps tomorrow.